Coming up on the Code Bet Daily NRL show, it is round 23 of the National Rugby League. The ladder is somewhat taking shape. I love the New Zealand Warriors to cover against the Gold Coast Titans, and I am not excited about Sunday, but Phil's here and he thinks there'll be some points scored on Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday's games are going to be fun, if nothing else. Good fun for punting, I should say. Round 23, normally that time of year where you can start to predict there's sort of the weekly outputs of a lot of teams. You know what they are. The origin period's well and truly in the rearview mirror. But there are a couple of banana peel games that we need to dive into and work through and find solutions on. So that's why you should watch and listen to this episode.
There's also a couple of drive-bys by the end of the show. If you want to listen to that one, it's pretty fun too. But hey, it's the Code Bet Daily NRL show and it's coming your way right now. Welcome to the Code Bet Daily NRL show for round 23 of the National Rugby League. I'm your host, Alex Donnelly. I am joined, as always, by Phil Pryor. He's in a different studio setup this week. Well, because it's Wednesday afternoon and we're recording. How are we, Phil?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, we're recording 24 hours earlier than usual. Full disclosure, I'm not as prepared as normal for that very reason. I'll do my best. I'll make some punts purely based off instinct and instinct alone, and we'll see how we go.
I've also been given access to the soundboard again, which I think will work on this recording, so this feels like it's a bad idea. But we're doing this on a Wednesday, well, because I'm a lazy bastard and I'm taking off tomorrow afternoon to go to Hobart for the weekend because, well, who chooses to go to Hobart for a weekend, they say? Well, me, in the middle of winter where it's going to be a top of 10 degrees. Great idea.
James.
Anyway. Yeah. Love Hobart. Can't wait to move to Tasmania. Football, yeah, hell yeah. Could have timed it better because I think there's a game there like on Sunday. I thought that someone told me like that Melbourne and North Melbourne are playing there. Because like really could have timed this better instead of coming home on Sunday morning to go to the the round of 16 game here in Melbourne. So that'll be fun because it's turning out to be USA and Sweden, I believe. So that'll be a bunch of fun. But yeah, that's another show. That's the Code Bet Daily. Go check that one out. We are here for this week's NRL show for round 23, and we may as well just get straight stuck into it. Kicking off with, well, not a great game. My beloved Sydney Roosters are $1.62. The Manly Sea Eagles, $2.35. The line is 3.5. The over-under is 42.5. The Roosters have lost their last 8 night matches and their season ended with one of these ones last week. I needed to do that. I've been looking for a way to do that for 2 days. But yeah, the Roosters are absolutely cooked. Their season is over, yet they are favourites in front of Manly. Why?
There are still 5 rounds left, so their season is on life support. It's not over.
Their season is as over as Fremantle's is right now. They have to win everything. They need 4 and against to go their way. They are done.
Yeah, definitely. Manly obviously still in the mix. They're outside the 8 looking in though, so they need to be very good from here as well. I did find the betting market just kind of interesting in this one. Like there just seems to be probably a little bit too much confidence in a Roosters team, which has just been diabolical basically all season. I'm struggling to figure out how they're sort of the $1.64 favourite in this game. I think what you're seeing here is just a complete lack of faith in Manly's ability to travel anywhere.
Fair. Going south of the bridge, fair. We've discussed this many times.
Yeah, Manly obviously successfully did that last week, but against the Dragons, on an occasion which meant a lot in DCE's 300. So I think there's a bit of that element to it. The fact that they're going to have to do it 2 weeks in a row probably doesn't help them, I suppose. Yep. The fact that it's at the SCG just kind of swings things a fraction in the Roosters' favour as well. That they've obviously got a lot of match experience on that ground the last few seasons while Allianz was still being redeveloped. Women's World Cup has first dibs on Allianz right now. That's why we're going back to the SCG here. This will be the Roosters' second game there this season, second in a month. They went down 30 points to 16 against the Storm a few weekends ago. Obviously, Manly aren't in the same class tier as that Melbourne team right now. So, those kinds of factors kind of do give you a fraction of confidence in the Roosters for this game. But apart from that, there isn't a lot to get excited about. The Roosters were reasonably poor 7 days ago. The good element for them is the fact that they do have the full 7-day turnaround as opposed to Manly. They're coming off a 5-dayer. They played in that Saturday 5:30 game last weekend. So there are minor things which work in the Roosters' favour. I think Joseph Suaalii is an excellent first and anytime try-scoring bet against a very inexperienced Manly left winger named Raymond Vaenga.
Great name.
Vaenga, who's playing his 5th first-grade game with Christian Tuipulotu's injury. Suaalii has Joey Manu inside him. So I think, the class of Manu on the inside there'll be chances created down that right edge. Suaalii scored a bunch of tries last year when he was weekly playing in that right wing role. So I think there's some value there. I think the Roosters will find some points down that right edge. But 5 out of Manly's last 6 games have hit the unders. I think
4 or 5 between the two as well.
Yeah, I think this has all the hallmarks of going under the 42.5. But I just don't have a whole lot of confidence in either team really in this game, because I've listed all the sort of minor reasons why I might favour the Roosters. But does anyone have a lot of confidence in getting on the Roosters -3.5 in any NRL game?
No.
So I've tipped the Roosters and that's about all I can do here.
Yeah, we'll move on. We'll move to Friday night, 6 p.m, Cbus Super Stadium. The Gold Coast Titans made me look very stupid last weekend. At $3.20, hosting the New Zealand Warriors at $1.39. You can get +9.5 for the Titans, -8.5 for the Warriors. Over-under is 46.5. The Warriors, though, 3 on the bounce, and they are 6-3 away this season. And they're also 8-1 against the line when travelling. So is this our mates the Warriors, after they obviously did the number last week on the Raiders, winning again and solidifying that top 4 spot?
Well, that was 2 weeks ago. They're coming off the bye as well, so they're a bit fresher. They, sort of, I suppose, speaking to the Roosters' experience at the SCG across recent seasons, the Warriors have had plenty of practice playing in Australia.
They lived everywhere for a period of time.
Exactly. And look, perhaps that has actually helped them. There's probably the fact that they're traveling to the Gold Coast might, there might be a little bit of comfort there knowing, well, they lived out of Queensland for a period of time as well. So they played a lot of rugby league up there the last couple of seasons. And it's
also warmer than, New Zealand.
A little bit nicer weather, unless you love sub-zero temperatures. They're a far superior team in this game. There's no doubt about that. It's been impossible to predict what you're going to get out of the Titans on a week-to-week basis. There's been good and there's been awful. So I think you've just got to go with what's been consistent here in this Warriors team. We know that we can expect a DWZ try or two out on that right wing. Even the running game or the running support game of Metcalf in the halves has been important for them. For Noah Blake, he's been in strong try scoring form if you're looking for more of a long shot multi-booster. There's a lot of try scoring threats in this Warriors team. And I think they get the job done pretty comfortably and cover.
Ooh, I like it. I like it a lot. I think I might be jumping onto the Warriors bandwagon for the rest of the season the way they're going at the moment. Friday night, probably game of the weekend. This is the later game. This one, of course, out at Penrith with the Penrith Panthers, $1.37 hosting the Melbourne Storm at $3.20. You can get -8.5 for the Panthers, +9.5 for the Storm. Over under, very low at 39.5. Penrith have won 34 of its last 37 matches at Bluebet Stadium. They are 7-2 at home this season, and they've also covered the line in their last 6 against top 4 opponents. That is an insane record as Penrith look to be marching towards their 3rd straight premiership.
Yeah, it's certainly getting that vibe now, isn't it? I was literally having a look at the grand final earlier today, venue, all that kind of thing, and contenders. And it's Penrith, the team to beat, and then maybe 3 or 4 teams that are in the mix, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Melbourne are one of those teams. We have to put that out there. They're not on this. They're not on the same level as the Penrith Panthers, though. That's the bottom line. The Isaac Tungor has been listed on an extended, sort of a bit of an injury cloud around him, which has Zach Hosking listed as starting centre, which takes a little bit of firepower out of their left edge, admittedly. But,
Yep.
I mean, outside of that, they're coming into this reasonably full strength outside of Spencer Leniu, obviously a little bit of rotational punch off the bench, but I've really liked the look of Lindsay Smith's development as a rotational middle forward. He can get through a mountain of work and provides impact at collision as well. So, look, this Penrith team, they're just going to be far too good, even with the fact that you've got Nelson Asafa-Solomona back in the mix. Justin Olam out of form, not in the team, which is interesting. Same as last week, Marion Sever and young Tonamapea as your starting centres. And that's just a fraction of cause for concern there. So, look, I think the Panthers are just, I think they win this game by 10 or more points, and the line's at 8.5. The over-under total is so low in this game. It's 39.5.
Well, the last 3 between these two have been, the over-under has been under 40 points. And we had a 16-34 win to the Panthers. The Storm won 16-0 in August of last year. And then earlier in that season, it was 32-6, and that over-under was 33.5. So they've hit 2 of the last 3 and 3 of the last 5 overall. But yeah, it just seems wild. I don't know how to feel about that. This season, Penrith are 9-1 against the line. They're 5-4 at home.
Yeah, a lot of the Storm's matches have been hitting the over recently, as you sort of alluded to there. 34-16 back in round 18 between these two sides. But I think you have to just kind of throw that one out the window, because that was still around Origin period where all kinds of strange things happen. In theory, 2 top teams, good defenses, they sort of focus more on just stopping the opposition and allow attack to occur naturally. You take the under, but at 40 points in a round 23 match, we're not talking about a final here. We might get a bit of intensity about it. I think that this game hits the over, because it's a 39.5 is a tiny over under. So I think it gets there. I'm not exactly sure how, but I do think the Panthers are the superior team, and they probably win this by 10 or more points, and that's how I'm leaning.
I like it a lot. Yeah, I'm just trying to look ahead, and looking at schedule, I'm like, how do Penrith actually lose a game for the rest of the season? Like, it's just like, oh yeah, cool, Penrith won again, awesome. But then you think about it, this is one of the great sporting dynasties in rugby league history. I know obviously we had all the St. George ones, 70, 80 years ago, but this is, doing it through COVID and the salary cap era and everything else. So if they win 3 in a row, they're arguably one of the greatest teams in the history of this sport.
Absolutely. And I'm pretty sure in the NRL era, and I think this will be the 26th year of the NRL era, it's only the Roosters, right, that have gone back to back, and the Panthers, obviously. So this is legacy altering if they can make it 3 in a row, and we just haven't seen anything to kind of cast any doubt over their credentials.
Yeah, it's their best is so far away and beyond the best of any other team. Just like, if they play their best, they're going to win. It's as simple as that. If you turn up on the day and they're a bit off, you could get them. But if they're at their best, you are absolutely no chance.
Yeah.
Moving on to actually a somewhat decent game. It's a derby of sorts, as the North Queensland Cowboys host the Brisbane Broncos. The Cowboys $2.45, the Broncos $1.65. Somehow this is 2nd versus 8th. If you remember where the Cowboys were 6 weeks ago, you wouldn't have believed this. The line is -4 exactly for the Broncos, +4.5 for the Cowboys. Over 42.5, under 43.5. The Cowboys have won their last 6 at home. And they've got a really good line record in their last 6 against teams higher than them on the ladder. They've actually covered in their last 6. So that 4.5 line could get you there. The last 4 between these two have gone over the total points line. We usually see some entertaining football out of these two.
Yeah, look, the Broncos are almost at full strength. Jordan Rickey's been named on an extended bench, and Corey Oates is really only the other regular first grader that they don't have at their disposal right now. The Cowboys suffered a massive blow yesterday with Valentine Holmes not being able to get off. He'll be out for the next 4 weeks, and a young, decent talent called Zach Labart will be playing. Or is it Kyle? It's a Labart, Kyle Labart, whatever his first name is. He'll be slotting in at centre, and that just takes the ceiling off this Cowboys team. Holmes, obviously, with the way that he rolls up the sleeves for tough carries, he always churns 150 to 200 meters most weeks. He's got that finishing class as well on the edge, and the goal kicking prowess. So you add all of that together, and that swings this further into the Broncos' favour. It would have been interesting to see what the odds looked like yesterday. I didn't do that. I'm not sure whether there's been much of a reaction to that news with Holmes confirmed out. I suppose we knew he wouldn't be playing this week anyway, but I think that swings things certainly in the Broncos' favour. They're the better team still. They're the second best team in the comp for mine, and they're reasonably healthy at this point. They might even get Jordan Rickey back into the team this week. So I'm all over the Broncos minus the 4 start, and I might be looking at alternate lines. I think the Broncos can win this by more than 6.5 points, and I like the over in this game too. I think there'll be plenty of points put up, particularly by the team in maroon.
Okay, there we go. Moving on to the 5:30 game on Saturday afternoon. The Dolphins, $3.40. The Newcastle Knights, $1.36. The line is at 9.5. The over-under, 47.5. Quick one here for fast starters. The Dolphins have lost the first half in their last 7 matches. I love that stat. And Newcastle have done the halftime, full-time in their last 4. So, well, pretty simple. Get on Newcastle. They should be winning this, especially with their sneakily just outside the top 8, which, as you said last week, Phil, you're going to have to start saying they're not terrible, they're okay.
They might be better than okay, because they certainly made a fool out of a lot of people even last week. I think some people were sort of saying, oh, look, here come the Knights, and others probably
this guy,
probably
host right here, tip the Knights, thank you.
Probably like myself was saying, hold the horses, let's see what they can do in Canberra on a Saturday afternoon, with sort of everything sort of leaning the way of the Raiders. And the Raiders were bad. Part of that is, you would have to say, is the Knights didn't let them play well. I think that's the reality there. And they took advantage of a situation where their opponent was off, and they did it comfortably. And the Dolphins have been very, very average across pretty much the last three months almost now.
I can't believe they got rolled last week still. Like, that just blew my mind. I thought this was the game they were going to win. It's okay, you've won 8 or 9 games for the season, like by the time we get to the end of the year. Then you look back at it and go, man, they got rolled by the Bulldogs in late July. That's just, ugh.
In Bundaberg, don't forget.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course. So look, I think we have to get on the Knights here in this one. They've got the far superior form. The fact that the Dolphins couldn't even beat the Bulldogs suggests that they are sort of, basically just running on bad fumes right now. And this could be, the Knights could actually pull away in this game, because they've got attacking prowess all across the park. Hastings and Gamble are playing their roles in the halves. Ponga's obviously firing, and he's in a sort of a sweet spot in his career right now. He's enjoying his footy. Touchwood, he's had a clean bill of health. And you've got 2 absolute weapons on their wings in Greg Marzhew and Dominic Young. Dom Young's sort of quietly one of the best wingers in the comp right now. Bradman Best obviously flying full of confidence off the back of his Origin debut about a month ago. So the Knights, even without Daniel Saifidi last week, just kept on keeping on. They brutalised a really strong Canberra Raiders pack, and I think they're going to make mincemeat of the Dolphins forwards in the battle of the middle in this one. So I think the Knights can. I think 13 plus is not a bad bet this week. The line at 9.5. So let's find a little bit more value. Knights 13 plus. Throw in a Dom Young anytime try scorer.
And this is a really good chance because there's a clump of teams here in that sort of 28. I know the Knights are on 25 points, but between that 28 and 24 points, this is a massive chance in case another team does get a draw for the Knights to really pull away in their for and against. They're of all the teams in that sort of 26 to 28, 24 point region at the moment, it's only the Bunnies that are ahead of them with 90 on the positive side. They're on 72. They get a really good chance here to pull away from the Sharks on Saturday afternoon, which we're about to talk about, just rolling straight in. How's that for a segue? South Sydney Rabbitohs at $1.25 host the Cronulla Sharks, $4.05. The line is 12.5 points. The over-under is 48.5. Oh, the Sharks were so bad last week. 28-0. They were thumped by Penrith. The Bunnies, well, they won. They got the 13 plus for us at least, winning by 14 points against the West Tigers. But yeah, oof. What's going on down in Shark territory? This doesn't feel right.
Yeah, the numbers here are truly an indictment of how steeply Cronulla's fallen off the pace in the last month, the last 3 games, of course. And it doesn't get any easier with now Will Kennedy with a hamstring. So Connor Tracy moves from centre back to fullback, and you've got CSC for Talakai back in the centres. We've been picking on him the last few weeks because his defence has been truly atrocious on Cronulla's left edge. What happens at left edge forward for Cronulla, I think, is important, marking opposite Kian Koloamatangi, who is one of the best edge forwards in rugby league, because Wade Graham has been named to start there. He's also been named as captain, with Dale Finucane taking no further part this season. Jesse Colquhoun is named on the bench. I've got a feeling he might actually start at left edge rather than Wade Graham. It's probably what I would like to see happen at this point, because Wade doesn't have a lot of footy ahead of him, and I don't think he's fixing the defensive problems. And, you know, this Bunnies team, which obviously famously attacks so well down its left edge, I think they could be sending more traffic than normal right, and to success as well, because obviously they've got Campbell Graham at right centre. Yeah. One of the form centres in rugby league across this 2023 season. And Souths, entering last round, they were still outside the 8, were they not? So they got the win last week. They've climbed themselves back into the 8, but they still need to win a couple more games over the next 3 weekends, leading into their round 26 bye, to just ensure that they make it. I still think the Rabbitohs are one of the true title contenders, even though they'll probably have to win 4 games through the finals to do it. I think top 4 is probably a little bit out of their reach now. But yeah, the fact of the matter is I haven't seen anything from this Cronulla team in the last month to suggest that they can hang with this Rabbitohs team, which is pretty much at full strength right now. And Cronulla just have too many injury issues right now, and they just haven't solved enough of their defensive problems. So I think the Rabbitohs could potentially run rings around this Cronulla team. The 12.5 start, it's a lot to sort of wrap your head around, but I think you just have to. I think you have to lean into it. And
well, you look at the Cronulla's last few games, and there was, I think it was not the West Tigers game, maybe it was the Dragons or the West Tigers, one of the two. They've given up 3 or more tries in 4 of their last 5 games. Like, they are just going terribly. And their form, you look at it, is they won a couple of games and scored points, yeah, but it was against Canterbury, the West Tigers, and St. George. Like, their form wasn't as great. We all sort of got sucked into it, I guess. So, Yeah, I don't mind that call at all, going with the line there, especially the way Souths are going. I think they're the one that can really cause some damage as long as they keep on winning and everyone stays on the park. But yeah,
The Sharks
moving to
does get easier from here after this weekend.
Okay.
But again,
I don't want to back them into form though.
Exactly. And I think, Craig Fitzgibbon will be doing his best to try and motivate his group. Guys, we need to show up. We need to find some answers defensively. The draw opens up. That they're still probably going to make finals, but my goodness, they have been so average. So average.
Speaking of another team who have been quite average this season, Parramatta Eels at $1.16 hosting St George Illawarra, $5.60. The line is 15.5. The over/under is 47.5. St George have lost their last 18 matches when they've been away from home. As the betting outsider, I will not be paying attention to this game. I actually don't have much of an interest in the Sunday slate. It is very tough to do so. I'll be getting hyped up for some round of 16 Women's World Cup. But yeah, this Sunday slate in the NRL is quite average.
Indeed. The Tillies, they're on Monday, right?
Tillies are on Monday at Allianz at 8:30, I believe, which is just ridiculous. But let's not yell about the timing of that because FIFA stuffed up by trying to assume that America would top their group and said, the round of 16 game that we assume America is going to be in is going to be prime time in America. Well, sucked in. They're playing at 7 o'clock Sunday night, which is I think it's 4 a.m. over on the east coast of America.
Yeah, I did
hate to see it.
I did catch that part. One of my old colleagues who I'm in a NFL fantasy draft with, Laurie Haresh, who works at ESPN, he had a good tweet about providing Americans some tips on how to get up super early and do the whole sports viewing thing, because we've been doing it for as long as we can remember for the NFL over there. But
NFL, EPL, all of it.
Yeah, exactly. But I will be keeping one eye on this NRL Sunday slate. We'll get to the Raiders obviously next. But this Parramatta match intrigues me in the sense that I'll probably put a big multi on where I've got several anytime try scorers and the over. I think this game gets into the 50s. Ravalawa will score a try for the Dragons. Parramatta will at least get into the 40s, and that's how it's going to look. So Parramatta are going to cover the minus 15.5 and win this thing by 20-odd. Gutherson's going to score. Will Penasini's going to score. Dylan Brown he's back, so that gives them a little bit more from a running game perspective, and he just defends very well as well. So he'll help Parramatta get on top earlier in this game. And the Eels to do a number on this St George team.
Keeping it nice and simple, I like it. We may even throw that multi up on the socials. We move to Sunday, 4:05 p.m, and the weekend finishes with a whimper. Canberra Raiders, $1.28, looking to get their season somewhat back on track, hosting the West Tigers at $4.10, minus 11.5, plus 12.5, over under 46.5. Tigers have lost 8 on the bounce and 6 of their past 7 by 13 plus. I mean, I could be somewhat confident on the Raiders, but, they've only got sort of one score above 30 in their last 5. Not too sure how to feel about this one.
Yeah, exactly. The Raiders have just been allergic to putting up big totals. It was they scored just the one try last week against the Knights. You go back further.
Their for and against sucks.
Yeah, 20.
It's terrible.
20, 26, 26, 20, 14, 20, 33. So, those are the totals that the Raiders are putting up. I'm sort of leaning that this one could end up spilling under the 46.5, which is weird when you just think about the fact that it's Canberra against the Tigers, a team that have just been conceding so many points, obviously losing their last 8 matches, the West Tigers, down in Canberra. Look, if the Raiders are to be a finals contender and win 1 or 2 finals matches, then they need to turn things around after a bit of a slump the last 2 weekends and just win well in this game. Will they? I think so,
Doubtful.
but I'm not sternly confident by any stretch. But I think that they can cover. They've barely beaten a team by more than one score all year. Surely this is the weekend. The line is at 11.5, 12.5, depending on which betting agency you look at right now. Just get on the 13 plus and just hope for the best.
You know what? That's a great way to sell the show. Get on and hope for the best. Well, look, that is all the games done and dusted for this weekend here on this Wednesday afternoon for the NRL Round 23. I'm going to pin you to this one, Phil. Give us a best bet nice and early as we are just over 24 hours out from the first game of the weekend. I think my best will probably be New Zealand to cover against the Titans, but I'm finding it tough.
Yeah, so I definitely will build a multi around that early Sunday game. Parramatta to cover, hits the overs, Gutherson anytime try scorer. And I'll go back to the Thursday game because I have already written that preview, so I have had a chance to kind of dig into it a little bit. But yeah, Joseph Suaalii anytime try scorer into a Roosters win.
Okay, that's there. That is something I wasn't expecting given how negative this show has been on the Roosters all throughout the season. But hey, we are done and dusted for this week here on the CodeBet NRL show. If you've liked and subscribed to this show, please check out all of our other shows. We are currently in the process of planning our massive EPL season preview, which will kick off next week. The EPL, our season preview, will be done next Tuesday here in the CodeBet studios with the Stats Guy and odds.com.au's Marcus. He'll be in here with us as well. The AFL show will be done tomorrow, plus the Daily Show. Stats Guy and I have been all over the Women's World Cup. I found a very nice anytime goal scorer for tomorrow's match. One of them, you'll have to check it out there. But please follow us on all the social medias, X, because we're going to call it that now. Twitch, Threads, Instagram, TikTok, everything else that we're all on. Facebook, go check out our live stream from last night on YouTube as well. Hit that thumbs up button because all of that really counts to us. But punters, make sure you gamble responsibly. Phil, thanks for being here and doing this early. We may have to do Wednesday next week, so I'm giving you a week's advance warning.
Okay. I've always been a last minute man anyway, so you're giving me a week's heads up is going to make absolutely zero difference.
There we go. Well, yeah, because I've just found out that I have to do horse racing and EPL next Thursday as well, so I don't actually have spare time. Gerald's about to throw something at me because he has to film the EPL one as well.
How insane is it that the EPL season is already kicking off again? Like, my goodness.
Yeah, I love it, but I don't love it at the same time because it means I have to do 5 actual shows potentially next Thursday. My brain already hurts. So I think I need a couple of lozenges and some electrolytes, a lot of them.
Ask Eddie McGuire for some advice on how to be on every show under the sun and trying to avoid saying something stupid because he's fallen into that trap more than one occasion.
Oh, don't worry. I'm every chance of doing that. I do that daily. But hey, this is the CodeBet Daily, and we are done for today. Gamble responsibly, punters. We'll catch you next week. CodeBet Daily, out.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.